everyone, it's Kimberly. Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. So I kind of hinted that I had a non-carnivore recipe coming out, and I do, and we're going to make that today. Here, actually, I'm just make it right now. Homemade biscuits. Yes, carbs of all things to make. Let's make a carb. This is my family's favorite recipe, or one of my family's favorite recipes. My daughters asked me to make them, so I'm going to make them. Here lately I have been cheating and buying the frozen biscuits, but I thought, you know, I can cut my prices down by making my own biscuits and freezing them. I've never frozen these biscuits, so honestly this is as much of a test as it is a cooking recipe or cooking video. But we're going to try to freeze these and see how they turn out, and I'm pretty sure they're going to turn out just fine. But let's get on to the recipe. So this is not a huge batch of biscuits. This is going to make, I think it makes about 8 biscuits. And this is just the way I make them. I know other people may make them something a different way, but this is just mine, and this is the way my family likes them. So let's get to the recipe. So to start out, I am going to grate 1 stick of butter. And the recipe actually calls for 6 tablespoons. Oh, and I probably am not going to be able to do this on the table. It is not going to want to stick, I don't think. But I like to do a full stick. This is not going to work. It really does help. And I like to grate my butter. It helps incorporate the butter so much better. That didn't work the smoothest, but you know what? We got her done. Let me empty this out. And I like to keep my butter frozen. While I'm doing this, it will help the biscuit. And I like to move pretty fast, even though my butter's kind of been sitting here for just a minute. Alright, so I've got my butter, and yes, my table is sparkling clean. I just scrubbed it. Need 2 cups of flour, and I like to sift everything, so I'm just going to stick my flour in my sifter. And then I have here is a tablespoon of sugar, a tablespoon of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to add that to my flour, and we are going to sift it. I may use the wrong sifter, but we'll make it work. Yeah, I used the wrong sifter. Let me grab my other sifter because this one's not going to work. Now I'm probably just going to make one big mess, but you know, that's the way it goes. Yeah, I always forget this one. I don't like to use unless I'm using like a powdered sugar. It just doesn't work. I like my old one. Oh, come on. Alright. So I've got that sifted. And now I'm going to add my butter. And you want to mix your butter in until your flour is very crumbly. And I do cheat. You can do this all by hand. I'm just going to cheat and use my mixer. My mixer is not working. Uh-oh. There we go. Whew, scared me there for a minute. I don't ever use this thing anymore. Alright, it's starting to get crumbly. So now I'm going to slowly add my milk. This is 3/4 cup of milk. And you can use whatever milk you have on hand. I have raw goat milk, so that's what I'm using. And you want to mix just until the dough forms, and then cut it off. And I know I'm having to do this at my table just because I don't have the room in my kitchen to do it. I like to do this on a baking sheet, a lined baking sheet. And yes, I know tinfoil, don't use that, it's toxic. It's easy to clean up. It's not going to live here. Sprinkle, and I just sprinkle my baking sheet. If you have just a good surface, use that. I'm just going to scoop my mixer back. This poor thing just does not get any use anymore. And the one thing I did forget was my rolling pin. I forgot to get my rolling pin out. Kinda can't make biscuits without a rolling pin, can you? I'll give it just a second. I'm going to try to get this good and cleaned off. And then we'll start rolling biscuits. And if you've never made biscuits before, and you think, oh my gosh, it's like super, super hard, it's not. It's actually one of the easiest recipes, or easiest breads you can make. I just like to bring it to turn it into a ball. I do not like to handle the dough too much with my bare hands because your hands are hot. And I do try to scrape out as much as I can. And the big deal with biscuits, if you don't want your butter melted, you want your butter to stay cold. Alright, I'm going to get a little bit of this out of the way and go get my rolling pin. I'll be right back. Alright. You just want to take and flour your rolling pin. And I really would like to change the flour because right now the only thing I have is all-purpose flour. I would like to try a more natural flour. I see a lot of the homesteaders, they're using what's called elkhorn flour, I think. So I would really like to try that. And I'm using the wrong baking sheet. I normally can run my rolling pin straight down my baking sheet, and it makes like the perfect size. And I may do that. Let me grab my other baking sheet real fast because it does make the height of the baking sheet makes like the perfect big biscuit. So one second. I had to pull this one out of the freezer, which is actually not a bad thing. So it's good and cold, which will help the bread. But I use the smaller one, and I keep it in the freezer because normally it's got a silicone mold on it for my baking grease or anything else, any other type of grease that I decide to keep. And I'm just going to re-roll this out. Won't hurt it. I love to handle breads, or I think I would have loved to have been a baker, but I'm no baker. I'm just a mom that likes to cook. So that's what ooh, my nose is itching. Alright, so that's about the thickness that I like my biscuits. And then I think this is a 2-inch biscuit cutter. And I just cut them out. Makes the perfect size biscuit. I think this makes 8. I could be wrong. already made 5. Once you've got all of that cut out, just roll your dough back out. You may have to add a little more flour. That's okay. Just meld it all back together. Oh, my nose keeps itching. And you can't tell, but you can actually see the flecks of butter. And that makes for a really nice biscuit. And any of y'all that watch this video, or anyone that watches this video really, and you're not from the US, and you've never had our biscuits, make these, and then tell me what you think. Because I grew up eating biscuits. I know almost everybody from the South can say they grew up eating biscuits in some form or fashion, whether it be out of the can, as canned biscuits, homemade biscuits. My mom didn't make homemade biscuits. Actually, really no one in my family did. We didn't have a lot of bread makers either. Now, when it come to pies and sweets, that we had a lot of. We had a lot of pie makers and stuff like that. Mostly pie makers. My grandmother used to make a chocolate butter roll, and it was, oh my gosh, absolutely amazing. Loved her chocolate butter roll. And we just have one itty bitty. And this one we're just going to pretend he's a big guy. But he's going to be an itty bitty turd. A little bitty fart. We're just going to roll him out and make some sort of like little biscuit out of him. 2, 4, 6. So it made 8 1/4. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put them back on this one so I can spread them out just a little bit. But let's see. See how spread out I can actually make these. Because I don't want them touching. I'm going to make it work on this one. Okay. What I do, I'm just going to transfer them over onto this one for right now. Because I'm going to spread a little more flour on this. I do not want them sticking. Alright, so I'm going to just transfer them back over to this one. And we're going to put little man right there. And then I just want to sprinkle a little extra flour on the top, because I am going to go ahead and I'm going to cover these. Since it is a raw dough, I don't want anything getting on them in the freezer. So I'm going to go ahead and cover them, and just out of precaution, I want something on top, you know. I don't want them to stick. And yes, I'm going to cover them with tinfoil. Alright, so I'm going to get these into the freezer, and we're going to check back here, I don't know, maybe in a couple hours, and we'll see how they are. We'll leave it run. We'll take the little bitty man, and we'll bake him, see how it turns out. Okay, see y'all in a few hours. Alrighty, so it's been a few hours. Biscuits are frozen, and I went ahead and cooked the itty bitty. So the biscuits turned out actually quite nicely here. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick these in a baggie, and I'll keep them in the freezer. And I'm going to give this one, and this one turned out actually quite nice. Here. My daughter does not want to be on camera, so she's off camera. What do you think? I know it's going to be hot.
It's actually good.
It's good?
Mm-hmm.
You heard that from the pickiest eater in the house, that
Facts.
it's good. Alright, so when I cooked these, I think I cooked them at 350, or this little one, 350 for 10 minutes, 9 minutes. Flipped in halfway. And I actually think it only went 9 minutes. Because this was a little bitty biscuit. I didn't go long on it. Normally, because I cook my biscuits in my Ninja foodi, I bake them for 375 for around 20 minutes. If I remember to flip them, I'll flip them. If not, I won't. If you air fry them, you will want to flip them halfway. So 350 for, she's after the other half of this biscuit. So we thought 350 for 10 minutes. Flip them halfway. It just helps them cook. And they turn out pretty good. So if you make them, let me know how you like them. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.